Hello everybody and welcome back to Blue Jays Buzz. Here today we have lots of Blue Jays news, the biggest Blue Jays news in a long time, the most positive Blue Jays news in a long time. But is it that positive? That's what we're going to be discussing today on Blue Jays Buzz. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has signed a 14-year, $500 million extension
with the Blue Jays.
The Toronto Blue Jays. What are your thoughts on this, Finn?
Well, so far this season, it's not like great. It's a lot of money, obviously. It'll put a lot of pressure on him, but it will put butts in the seats. It's true.
Yeah.
Right? People want to come see Vladdy and Bo play together.
Hopefully they can sign Bo too.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that.
Yes. Bo has been saying that he wants to stay with Vladdy. Stuff like that. But you never know, right? But I think overall, long term, this is going to be a great deal. Because of the leadership that he will grow into as he gets older and older. Right now, he's really young still, relatively, right? He's 26.
He was younger than the AL Rookie of the Year was last year. He's currently younger than the previous Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, so I think people saying that, he's kind of falling off a little, I think that's kind of jumping the gun. He's got a long career left. We have him for 14 more years.
We signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in 2016. This new extension expires in 2039.
Yeah.
This means that at the end of the day, Vladdy will have been a Toronto Blue Jay for 24 years.
And he'll end
from when he was 16 years old to 40 years old. How crazy is that?
That's a long time. That's the majority of your working life.
Especially for him, he's gonna retire after this contract. He's a Blue Jay for life.
I think honestly it's great for the Jays as a franchise to have this big player being one of the best in the league, I would say.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Face the franchise. He'll make us a lot of money going forward. Also, from an actual playing standpoint, as he progresses and gets to 29, 30, 31.
That's a player's prime. He's
exactly.
For most people, he's not even in his prime.
He'll have that experience, and he'll know how to react to different challenges and stuff that people throw at him. And I think just because he's not doing great at the beginning of this season, we've only had 3 series so far.
3 series, and we will break down the Mets series shortly.
Yes.
But this is bigger news.
But I think it's too early to jump the gun. I think so far this is looking good.
I agree. So here's the interesting thing here, okay? Obviously, contract inflation in sports is a thing everywhere, not just baseball.
Yeah.
But this, obviously, by far, is the largest contract in Blue Jays history.
Yes.
14 years, $500 million. Of the top 7 largest contracts ever handed out in Blue Jays history, 6 of the 7 are on the current Blue Jays roster.
Mm-hmm.
You have Vladdy, who we just signed, obviously. Springer, $150 million for 6 years. We signed him as a free agent.
Who was playing pretty damn well this season.
Except he got injured, may have gotten injured in the next years.
Running into that fence, yes.
Jose Barrios, 7 years, $131 million as an extension.
Yep.
Vernon Wells, the only non-current Blue Jay on this list, $126 million, 7 years as an extension. Kevin Gausman, $110 million over 5 years. He was a free agent. Andres Jimenez, we have him on a $96.5 million deal over 5 years. Obviously, Cleveland gave him that deal. We took it on in the trade. And Anthony Santander, who we just recently signed this offseason, $92.5 million over 5 years as a free agent. When all is said and done, I think it is very likely that Vladdy will become team leader in hits. Okay?
Yep.
Team leader in WAR.
Yep.
And team leader in home runs.
I also think that since we have him for this long of a time, and because of the caliber of his player, I think he could very well end up on the level of excellence, along with Bo, if we manage to resign him.
I think the most important thing with that is winning the World Series. But
Yes.
I agree. Honestly, though, if the Blue Jays could not have signed Vladdy, which we all thought they weren't going to after February 18th,
Yeah.
that would have really shown some gaps in the Blue Jays organization.
Absolutely.
If you cannot sign your homegrown player, your Canadian citizen.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. So, I'm very happy that the Blue Jays got this deal done. Might as well extend Atkins while you're at it, you know?
Here's something. Do you think, like, obviously, my opinion here, and I think you feel the same way, that long-term this is a great idea, right? This is the right thing to do to re-sign him. But giving him the third biggest contract in MLB history, do you think that was overpaying a little
Arguably,
bit?
it's the second biggest contract in MLB history. Because Shohei Ohtani's is deferred. So,
but you know what I mean.
Present value, Ohtani's deal nets out closer to 460.
Yeah.
Depending on how you discount the deferrals.
Yeah.
But, so, do I think he's the third best player of all time?
Probably not. Yeah.
Do I think he's the third best player in the league right now? No.
Mm-hmm.
If Aaron Judge had waited
he would have gotten
years,
a lot of money.
He might have gotten double his current $360 million contract.
Yeah.
This is more than Mike Trout got. This is more than Fernando Tatis got. This is more than Bryce Harper got. More than Lindor.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. But I am happy. Because at the end of the day, as a fan, it's not my money. I'm going to have Vladdy here
for basically ever.
Yeah. Who knows what the Blue Jays are looking like 14 years from now? Do you think this increases their odds to sign Bo? Do you think it just leaves them at the same?
I think, like, it's good and bad, because spending all that money on someone, you have less money to spend on other people. But I don't think that will be a problem when you have a big corporation like Rogers basically spending the money. Okay. But I think it's definitely helpful because Bo and Vladdy, they've been together since, like, AA, right? Like, forever, right?
Yeah, John Schneider came up with them, too. Same with Kevin Biggio. In fact, an interesting stat I looked at today when I was looking at Vladdy on Baseball Reference.
Yeah.
In 2019, his rookie year, he finished 6th in Rookie of the Year voting. Guess who somebody who was ahead of him was? Kevin Biggio got more votes for Rookie of the Year in 2019 than Vladdy did.
Dang. That's...
And they're both very young players still. I think Vladdy is actually a year younger than Bo. Mm-hmm. Right now, Biggio's on the Royals. Mm-hmm. He might even be a negative WAR player now. I'm not even sure. He's on a 1-year deal. He's 30, so he's quite a bit older than Vladdy and Bo. I think, personally, I think this slightly increases their chances to sign Bo.
I agree. Just because of the friendship that they've had.
I don't even think it has anything to do with that. I think it's that the front office doesn't need to focus on the Vladdy deal anymore. Now they can start talking to Bichette's agents.
Yeah.
Or other players. So we know they already extended Kirk. Yeah. Now they've extended Vladdy. At the same time, I think you need to understand that you've had some of these guys for a while. You haven't had a lot of success. Yeah. So I don't think you're going to be extending Varsho long term. I don't think you're going to be... There's guys like that. But I do think it slightly increases the Blue Jays' chances. Yeah. Now, we do have a question from a listener. As you know, if you have any questions you want us to answer about a series, about a game, email us at bluejaysbuzz@gmail.com. That's BLUEJAYSBUZZ@gmail.com. We have a question from Dylan in Ontario. Thank you for sending us your question, Dylan. Yep. How much of Vladdy's contract will he play out? At what point do you think the Jays will use him as a trade asset? Do you want to take this one first?
So I think I'm going to answer the second part of that question. Okay. I think that, me personally, I think by the end of that 14 years, I think at the, 10-year-ish mark, when he's, around 36, he will be 36, actually. Yeah, I think then you'll have to look at whether, like, how the team has done with him being there for so long, being a leader, how the, like, players around him have, felt, how his seasons have been going. I think by the time he gets older and older and older, I think it's definitely a possibility that we could trade him for some younger guys that could potentially be the next Vladdy. I don't know if that sounds cringy, but
I don't think so. Dylan, thank you for your question. To
Yes.
answer it, I don't think he ever gets used as a trade asset for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, in their mind, they've locked him up for life.
Yeah.
He will be a Blue Jays player forever, for his entire baseball career. I don't think he's ever going to be used as a trade asset. He's certainly not being used as a trade asset in the next few years.
No.
And once you get into the 10th, 11th year of the contract, I don't think he has much value anyway. And that comes to the other part of your question. How much of Vladdy's contract will he play out? Personally, I think he's going to play out the whole contract. But I do think that in the latter years of the contract, he will take on a smaller role on the Blue Jays. Somewhat like Miguel Cabrera did in his last few years with the Detroit Tigers. This could be, he might not play first base as much. He might DH like 2 out of 3 days, take every third day off. Something like that. What do you think? Do you agree, disagree?
I agree. I think you'll definitely see, like, as a hitter especially, especially when you get older, as you get younger guys who are throwing harder with more break, as you've seen in the past, right? Different eras. Like, now we have guys like Paul Skeens throwing 102. Now we have even the switch pitcher who could possibly make an MLB debut this season at some point. I think getting older, your reaction time will slow down. I think it's definitely a possibility that he plays out those 14 years, but I think by the time his 11th year comes, he will not be the same Vladdy.
I don't think he's going to be the same Vladdy. Yeah, I do think he will have... So, I believe from 2028 to 2032, he is going to have his best seasons with the Blue Jays. I don't think we've seen the best of Vladdy yet.
No.
This is from Sportsnet. These are forecasts. They're valuing each war individually, right? They're saying that this year, Vladdy's war value, they're estimating it to be around 5 WAR. They're saying the value is going to be around $51.5 million. Okay?
Yeah.
They're only paying him $35.71. Okay? I say only. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as they move more and more and more, the contract will inflate. He'll get less and less productive. I don't think he'll ever be a below replacement level player.
Yeah.
But even in 2039, he'll only be giving them like $7.5 million of value, and they'll still be paying him $35 million.
Yeah.
I don't think the contract's going to age well, but if you look at it, it's actually slightly, and I say slightly, a good deal on the Blue Jays side. It's a fair deal though, because they're saying by WAR, his total value will be around $503 million. Yeah. So obviously it's just slightly more than 500.
Exactly.
But when people get mad at Ross Atkins saying you overpaid for them, you didn't.
Yeah.
Especially not in how contracts will inflate in the future.
Exactly.
Let's move on to the Mets series.
Yeah, so it looks like we have another email from Jeff in Vaughan.
Yes,
Thank
so
you very much,
says,
Jeff.
Hi, Blue Jays Buzz. The Mets series looks like more of the same. What needs to change for the Blue Jays in the next few games against a tough opponent like the Red Sox? Thank you for your question, Jeff. So, for the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, I agree that they're a tough opponent, Jeff, but I don't think they're tougher than the Mets. The Mets, they'll spend so much money on anybody. They way overpaid for Soto.
Absolutely.
So, the Mets series look like more of the same. I assume what Jeff's referring to here is the lack of offense last year.
Yeah.
And how it looks like it's more of the same this year. I will say it's only one series, but you need to be winning against these better teams if you want to do well in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, exactly, which is the goal.
That's the goal. I don't want to sign Vladdy for 14 years and never win a playoff
Yeah,
game,
absolutely.
Right? I agree, Jeff. It did look like more of the same. What needs to change? I think the management needs to be better.
Yeah.
And when I say management, I don't mean front office. I mean, like, the bullpen. The deployment of the bullpen and the bullpen itself needs to be better. And it's funny I say this because I think we only scored, like, 3 runs or something.
Yeah,
in the whole
although
series.
I think 2 of those runs, we were up 2-0 in the 8th.
That was a very winnable game. With Bassett pitched beautifully.
Yes.
The starting pitching actually wasn't terrible in any of the games. Gosman didn't have his best game.
But it's just not something we can do. If we want to be a successful team for most of the year and have either, like, a good wild card spot or even potentially win the division,
yeah,
we can't be blowing games that should be won.
I think there are a few keys here, Jeff. So, first of all, I do think Anthony Santander has not had a great start to the season.
No.
He needs to start hitting some baseballs.
Yeah, that's what we paid him to do.
Exactly. I think Kirk, obviously, he hasn't had a great start to the season, but it isn't terrible by his
standards for hitting.
I do think he needs to improve. I think when we get Varsho back, it's going to be very helpful for the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's no timeline of when we're getting him back yet. And Springer might be down with an injury. I hope Springer doesn't need to keep hitting 400 all year.
No, I mean, that would be amazing.
It would be. I think what Springer needs to do is be a productive player, hit maybe 260, hit 15 home runs, get clutch hits. Now, I was talking to another listener of the podcast earlier today, and they were saying that they think the Blue Jays need to string more hits together.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I do somewhat disagree. I think the Blue Jays need to start hitting home runs. They've proven it's very difficult for them to
hit home runs, which is why we signed...
No, also to string hits together, though. I think they need to start hitting home runs. Hopefully, Vladdy starts hitting $500 million home runs. But I think those are some of the keys.
Because right now, we have Jimenez.
Yeah, he is... I think I heard something on Sportsnet that by the time he hit 3 home runs last year, it was already mid-May.
Yeah.
And he hit 3 home runs this year in the first 5 games this season.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But what do you think, to answer Jeff's question, what needs to change?
I honestly think it's our guys that more specifically, Anthony Santander, the guy that we signed to fill a hole power-wise in our lineup needs to perform. And right now, that's just not happening. Whether it be the weather, I don't know. I heard something about that on 590, about him being Venezuelan and it being a little chilly outside, affecting his gameplay. I don't really know how that affects it, but I think Anthony Santander should definitely step up his game.
And, it is just the start of
the season.
Yeah. What's interesting, if you look at the scoring in the Mets game, when Winker hit that triple,
yeah,
he increased the Mets' win probability
by 43.6
from 15.8% to 59.4%. And here's where I go back to the bullpen. I think you need to let Bassett finish the 7th.
Yep.
Brendan Little did not have a great... He threw 6 straight balls to open it out, which does not help.
No.
I think you bring Garcia out for the 8th, and then you put in Hoffman in the 9th.
Yeah.
I do think they waited way too long to bring Hoffman in. He only ended up throwing 1 pitch, let up a sac fly.
Yep.
Nick Sandlin, he's great. Great in the 7th, maybe the 6th, but I don't think you have him pitching high leverage.
No.
In a tie game in the bottom.
No, that's what Yimi Garcia and Jeff Hoffman are for.
Yeah. Anything else to add, Finn? This episode?
I don't think so. I just want everybody at home to make sure that they understand that we've only played 3 series. This season is far from over. We have a better team than we have in quite a while, I would say, personally. So we should all keep our hopes up, especially with our new Vladdy signing. We have him basically for life. So, yeah. I don't know about you, but yeah.
So if you have any comments about the Vladdy signing, we will make sure to put them in our next episode, answer all your questions, email them to bluejaysbuzz@gmail.com. That will be in the description of this podcast episode on YouTube and on Spotify. Thank you for listening. Go Blue Jays. Blue Jays Buzz. What?